And we're back. Nothing like a random driver's update for your graphics cards to bring your shit to a screeching halt. So I don't even know where exactly it stopped. So I don't know what the last thing I heard on stream was or anything. I took so long to do that all, probably not hanging around. But yeah. So my shit had drivers updates, which killed the internet, killed the streaming software, disconnected the chat. That was fun. Don't know what the last thing said was. Don't know where exactly we're at. Not as late as I thought it was, because I was up early as hell. Wait a minute. Well, I don't know if Dewey's made it back yet, or if he will make it back. Okay, that's just petty. Yes, I know, he's declining. You don't need to keep harassing a baby.
CDkeys.com. Shop the latest games and upcoming releases at the best prices. Donald Trump just held what can only be described as an absolutely psychotic press conference with India's Prime Minister Modi. Let me show you what went down. Here's Donald Trump talking about AI, and he talks about how people are going to be building their own electric plants for themselves. Here, play this clip.
And under the framework we are announcing today, the United States and India are also joining forces to ensure that artificial intelligence and other advanced technologies are developed by two of the most advanced nations, intellectually and otherwise technologically, anywhere in the world. There's nobody very much closer. We have an incredible relationship there. So this is where it seems to be heading. Artificial intelligence, complex
Did he just say that we were one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world? In not so many words. Did I just hear that right? Because that's horribly inaccurate.
Donald Trump just held what can only be described as an absolutely psychotic press conference with India's Prime Minister Modi. Let me show you what went down. Here's Donald Trump talking about AI, and he talks about how people are going to be building their own electric plants for themselves. Here, play this clip.
And under the framework we are announcing today, the United States and India are also joining forces to ensure that artificial intelligence and other advanced technologies are developed by two of the most advanced nations, intellectually and otherwise technologically, anywhere in the world. There's nobody very much closer. We have an incredible relationship there, and this is where it seems to be heading. And artificial intelligence, a very complex subject, but it seems to be where people want to be and they want to go. And we're leading right now by a lot, but other people will try to catch us. I don't know if they're going to be able to.
So yeah, I did understand it properly. What? We are not one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world. I'm sorry, no. That is naive. India? Yeah. The Indonesians got that shit on lock. The other people that do is China, not America. Let's keep some reality to things, please.
We're going to make it available. We're going to make tremendous amounts of electricity available. We're going to let the people that are buying the electricity make their own electric plants, electric generation plants. And we've never done this in our country, but we're going to get it done very quickly. Lee Zeldin and his group are going to get the approvals in very rapid form. And we're calling it a national emergency, and that's exactly what it is. So
then Donald Trump struggles to understand what the reporter is even asking. Watch this.
As being raising anti-India voice, calling about separation, terrorism activities in India. Do you think that should continue here in the US as well?
You're going to have to go out.
Mr. President, people in India would be welcoming your decision to extradite
What do you want?
to
May I, sir? May I? May I, sir?
Go ahead back there.
Yeah, this was not going very well. More bizarre answers by Donald Trump about artificial intelligence, and there's clearly no intelligence going on in his mind. The cognitive glitching over and over again as he just tries to explain what AI even is. Here, watch this clip.
This is where it seems to be heading. And artificial intelligence, a very complex subject, but it seems to be where people want to be and they want to go. And we're leading right now by a lot, but other people will try to catch us. I don't know if they're going to be able to. We're going to make.
Before the press conference with Prime Minister Modi, Donald Trump sat down with the Prime Minister of India in the Oval Office. Trump was asked about the United States attorney that resigned after the DOJ was retaliating against her, who was asked to dismiss the case against Mayor Eric Adams as part of a quid pro quo deal that Donald Trump and the corrupt mayor of New York had. And Trump says he knows nothing about it. Play this clip.
If I could ask you about a development in your hometown today, the U.S. attorney has resigned over the DOJ's request to drop the case into Eric Adams. Did you personally request the Justice Department to drop that case?
No, I didn't. I know nothing about it. I did not.
But then moments later, Donald Trump says that, to your other question, He says the U.S. attorney was actually fired. So first he says he knows nothing about it, but then he says that she was fired. Play the clip.
But that war is a horrible war. It's a vicious, bloody war. We want to end it. To your other question, that U.S. attorney was actually fired. I don't know if he or she resigned, but that U.S. attorney was fired.
It should be noted that this was a Trump appointee. She was a MAGA Trumper working as a federal prosecutor at the SDNY when she was ordered by Trump's Department of Justice, in her view, to essentially commit a crime and to breach her ethical obligations by dismissing a meritorious case. Even she resigned, and then they tried to retaliate against her, so then she resigned. Her name is Danielle Sassoon. You got to give her credit for showing courage and standing up there as well and not doing anything illegal, despite her being asked to apparently do so. So then a reporter asks Donald Trump, if you're going to be tough with India on trade, how are you going to beat China? And Trump's like, we're not going to beat anybody. Play the clip.
If you're going to be tough with India on trade, how are you going to beat China?
We're in very good shape to beat anybody we want, but we're not looking to beat anybody. We're looking to do a really good job. We've done a fantastic job for the American people.
I want you to watch this where Trump berates the EU and in the same breath praises Russia. Unreal. Play this clip.
Today you spoke about hoping to have three-way talks with President Xi and President Putin. What would you say to European leaders and other allies who may be concerned that you're apparently more keen to speak to America's adversaries than to its allies? Thank you.
Maybe I'll just go and first on this one. We had some talks, and we told the European Union, we told the NATO people, largely they overlap. You have to pay more money because it's unfair what we're doing. We're doing a tremendous amount more. We're probably $200 billion.
You need to stop that bullshit. For real. I mean, there's been both sides, but there's no point in hurting our allies. There's really not.
There's more going into Ukraine, using for Ukraine to fight. And Europe has not really carried its weight in terms of the money. It's not equitable. And we want to see a counterbalance. We want to have them put up more money. They have to do that. At the same time, we had a very good conversation with President Putin yesterday, and we also had a very good conversation. I did both cases with President Zelensky, and I think we're going to be able to do something. I think we're going to be able to make a deal, and I hope so, because it's a horrible war. It's a very terrible, bloody war with 1.5 million soldiers at least already dead on the battlefield, lying all over the fields like nobody.
Of which you're no longer letting us have information about. Thank you.
Has ever seen anything like it certainly since the Second World War.
Donald Trump then continues to praise Vladimir.
And if you think I'm kidding, I actually talk to soldiers from over in Ukraine daily. I have quite a few on Twitter, and I told them, hey, I'm support. You need someone to talk to, I'm here. Yeah. We stop getting news.
Putin, let's play it.
When you look at Ukraine and when you look at the mess that they're in, it's got to be ended and it's got to be stopped. Now, Russia's taken over a pretty big chunk of territory, and they also have said from day one, long before President Putin, they've said they cannot have Ukraine be in NATO. They said that very strongly. I actually think that was the thing that caused the start of the war. Biden said it, and Zelensky said it, and I think that was one of the reasons, one of the starts of the war. But from long before Putin, they said you cannot have Ukraine going in any way into NATO. And I start from that standpoint. I think everybody knew that.
That's a bloody lie. One, the war was started before the talk about having them join NATO. Two, the issue originally with them not joining NATO, or where they wouldn't or couldn't, were not allowed to, was the fact that Russia might take it as an offense. Russia invaded. They were being offensive. So therefore, doesn't matter now. Sorry.
And now, if a better deal can be negotiated, if they're able to make a deal where they
It's
can,
right there.
that's fine with
Use
me.
it.
I really don't care. I want
Donald Trump is asked what Russia should give up, and essentially he says absolutely nothing as he continues to glaze Vladimir Putin like the little puppet that he is. Play this clip.
To the Russia-Ukraine war, you've suggested several things that Ukraine should give up. The idea of NATO membership, territory that was seized back in 2014 by Russia. What should Russia give up?
Russia has gotten themselves into something that I think they wish they didn't. If I were president, it would not have happened. Absolutely would not have happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. If you look at
Bullshit.
what has taken place under President Bush, they lost a lot.
I'm sorry. You think Putin didn't do anything during the first 4 years of Trump's presidency? If anyone thinks that Putin didn't do anything during the first 4 years of Trump's presidency, pull your head out of your ass. Putin's not scared of Trump. Not even close. Putin sees Trump as a useful clown. %. Anyone who knows psychology well enough and does enough evaluation of the relationship between the two of them can tell you the same thing.
Under President Obama, they lost Crimea. Under Biden, it looks like they could lose the whole thing. Under Trump, they lost nothing. Ukraine lost nothing. They didn't give up anything. And you take a look at the other three presidents surrounding me, they gave up a lot. I think that when you look at Ukraine and when you look at the mess that they're in,
lay down back
it's
there.
got to be ended. And it's,
Then Donald Trump talks about cutting all of the American military budget when he speaks with Xi Jinping and Putin. Like, what? Play the clip.
one of the first meetings I want to have is with President Xi of China, President Putin of Russia, and I want to say, let's cut our military budget in half. And we can do that. And I think we'll be able to do it.
Donald Trump then says that he doesn't want any American agencies to even study the impact of terrorism.
Cut our military budget in half? You've been raising the military budget. What, Loki? You're being a pest. Chill out back there.
Tariffs, he goes, there's nothing to study. They're just great. We're going to do them. Play the clip.
Reciprocal tariffs, would you also direct agencies to study the impact they would have on prices in the U.S.?
No, there's nothing to study. There's nothing to study. It's going to go well. You know, the United States is going to become a very, very strong economically country. Yeah.
I should share this with you as well, that before that took place with Modi, Donald Trump had RFK Jr., who was just confirmed to be the head of Health and Human Services, despite being an anti-vaxxer and like rooting against people's health. But RFK says that this was God who sent Donald Trump to him. Play this clip.
For 20 years, I've gotten up every morning on my knees and prayed that God would put me in a position where I can end the childhood chronic disease epidemic in this country. On August 23rd of last year, God sent me President Trump, and he gave me he's now given me, he's kept every promise that he's made to me. He's kept his word in every account and gone way beyond it. I'm so grateful to you, Mr. President. A lot of people told me that I couldn't trust President Trump. I better get on my game and shake everything that he told me he was going to do. He's done. And I'm grateful to him, and I've told you before, I genuinely believe that you are a pivotal historical figure, and you are going to transform this country.
Yeah, it's just absolutely nuts right there. Here, by the way, is Donald Trump in front of Modi announcing tariffs on India. Let's play the clip.
So we are being reciprocal with India. Whatever India charges, we charge them. So frankly, it no longer matters to us that much what they charge, because whatever they charge. I had discussions with India in the first term about the fact that their tariffs were very high. I was unable to get a concession. So we're just going to do it the easy way. We're just going to say whatever you charge, we charge. And I think that's fair for the people of the United States. And I think it's actually fair for India.
Before Trump and Prime Minister Modi met, you'll note that Modi met with the other president, perhaps the real president right now. Look at the photo. You'll have all of Modi's team. Elon Musk's team is just his children, because that's what Elon Musk does. He just brings around his children. And then you have some of the MAGA Trump's kicked out a lot of the other media, and he brings in these like shills, these like MAGA shills. And so here's someone asking Modi, how are you able to even be in Donald Trump's presence? He is so powerful. Play this clip.
I was curious, how much more confident are you with President Trump leading this country?
Medicaid is in the budget. Go look at the budget for yourself. That's what's going on there. Oh, let me show you this one. Donald Trump saying that USAID rigged the 2020 election in 2024.
Trump, first of all, congratulations for the fantastic 24 days of your presidency. Historic and unprecedented decisions that you made, transformational reforms. To share with us if you think USAID had the wrong election interference in the US in 2020 and Indian elections in 2020.
Oh, I'm done with that. I've heard that one. I can't take it too much.
Donald Trump promised to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. 4 weeks later, and Trump has sold out to Russia, even before negotiations with Ukraine have begun. The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, former Fox News guy, he just announced that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective, and that Ukraine must never join NATO. It's as if he was reading a Kremlin press release.
But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement.
Trump also called for Russia's return to the G7 group of industrialized nations, saying its expulsion was wrong. Russia was suspended from the G8 in 2014 after the annexation of Crimea. It announced its permanent withdrawal in 2017. You see, in Donald Trump's worldview, every deal has a price tag. Sentiment holds little value, or indeed values hold little value. Trump views the war through the lens of negotiation, seeing an opportunity to strike a deal that could redefine Eastern Europe's balance of power and position him as a strong man alongside strong men. Trump has made it clear that securing peace is his goal, but not necessarily on Ukraine's terms. His regime has suggested that Kiev should be forced into territorial concessions to Moscow, shifting the balance of power in Eastern Europe. While previous administrations framed Ukraine's sovereignty as a red line, Trump sees it as a bargaining chip. I just want to stop the killing, he said in the Oval Office the other day. Well, his words suggest a transactional approach where securing an agreement, any agreement, takes precedence over long-term strategic implications. For Ukraine and its European allies, this shift was an unsettling change, forcing them to reconsider their own security frameworks. And incidentally, Trump appears to have no idea how many people have been killed, nor does he appear to care. So when he talks about stopping the killing, it's just the first phrase that comes to mind.
Any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops. If these troops are deployed as peacekeepers to Ukraine at any point, they should be deployed as part of a non-NATO mission, and they should not be covered under Article 5. As part of this, Europe must provide the overwhelming share of future lethal and non-lethal aid to Ukraine.
The Biden administration's stance was clear. Ukraine would determine the conditions for any negotiations with Russia. But Trump has redefined the rules. In a move that caught many off guard, he directly engaged with Vladimir Putin before consulting the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky. The Kremlin's response was swift and triumphant, seeing this as a validation of its strategy. This is exactly what Putin was waiting for, noted one Russian diplomatic source. Moscow now believes that with Trump at the helm, the US is more willing to accommodate Russian interests, potentially at the expense of NATO's strategic positioning. The talks hint at broader geopolitical implications. Russia has expressed its desire for a settlement that revisits the origins of the conflict, a thinly veiled reference to NATO's eastward expansion. Speculation is that Moscow may push for the withdrawal of US forces from Eastern Europe, a move that would significantly alter the continent's security landscape. Not that Trump cares about that either. The diplomatic maneuvering has left European leaders frustrated and a little nervous. Traditionally, Europe has played a central role in discussions about Ukraine, but Trump's direct dealings with Putin suggest a diminishing influence. European officials have stressed the need for inclusion in any agreement, warning that a deal struck without their input would not hold. We cannot be sidelined, declared the EU foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas. A lasting peace deal requires European involvement.
SCJ, is this your events or SCJ? Yes, sir. How much the car costs? $900,000. How old are you, first off? 20 years old. Are you an entrepreneur? I trade stocks, so. You can ask some questions at interview outside the car? Of course. Hop out. Is this your new vehicle? No.
A lasting peace deal requires European involvement. Elevating my style used to mean breaking the bank, but with Quince, I get high-end, versatile pieces and prices I can actually afford. Now I can upgrade my style. Quince.com/FMN. However, Trump's defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, hinted that all options remain open, including reducing the US military footprint in Europe. Such a move would leave European nations more vulnerable and embolden Russia to push for further territorial gains.
We're also here today to directly and unambiguously express that stark strategic realities prevent the United States of America from being primarily focused on the security of Europe. States faces consequential threats to our homeland. We must and we are focusing on security of our own borders.
For Putin, this moment represents a potential turning point. Despite facing setbacks early in the war and economic struggles due to sanctions, he remains steadfast, waiting for geopolitical conditions to shift in his favor. With Trump now in office, the Kremlin sees an opportunity to press its demands more forcefully. Despite Trump's denials of being beholden to Russia, Trump has never said a bad word about Vladimir Putin, remember, and indeed chose his word over the advice of the US security services back in 2018 in Helsinki. Russian state media has portrayed recent developments as a diplomatic victory, with commentators celebrating Trump's apparent willingness to challenge the existing Western consensus. The Moscow exchange saw a surge in investor confidence, reflecting optimism US-Russia relations could take a more favorable turn. Meanwhile, Ukrainian resistance remains strong. European allies will not easily accept a deal that undermines their security. Furthermore, domestic opposition within the US could complicate Trump's ability to implement his vision. As discussions continue, the key question remains: does Trump even want peace? Or has his plan all along been to help Putin annex the Donbass or another Ukrainian territory and declare it to be Russian? For now, all eyes are on Trump's next move. He's shifting alliances, making this one of the most consequential diplomatic moments in recent history. The stakes are high, not just for Ukraine, but for the entire global order. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel, podcast. On Wednesdays, co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on the weekend show with Midas Touch.
Cool.
Psychopath President Donald Trump continues to grift off his supporters as prices go up, and housing is less affordable. He's telling his supporters that he is giving them a promotion. He's pretending he's giving them a job, but if they want their job, if they want this position that he's offering them, of course you got to pay Donald Trump. Here's what it says. If you are on Donald Trump's listserv, I subscribe so you don't have to. It goes, Ben, it's President Trump. I made a big decision last weekend at Mar-a-Lago. It involves you. A new advisory position is available. And so when you look at the email that he sends and you click through, it says, President Trump has selected you for the official Trump Lifetime Achievement Award. Victory was only possible because of you, but you got to give a $47 additional donation to Donald Trump. And here's what I'm saying, because remember, Donald Trump policies right now are screwing over Americans and a lot of Americans in red states as well. And again, as prices rise, as his policies are causing layoffs, here's the types of emails that he's sending. Ben, I made a big decision at Mar-a-Lago in consultation with my trusted advisor, like the great Elon Musk. I made the call to open a few more highly selective spots for cabinet-level advisors, and the first one goes to you. We can celebrate your promotion tomorrow. Right now, we need to get to work. I've personally put together this survey for any new cabinet-level advisors to take on day one of their new position, so I'm going to need you to complete it ASAP. And then when you click it, of course, you have to pay him money, but he's like pretending he's giving out jobs and fake positions in his cabinets to his supporters. I mean, look, I know that about 60% of Americans have below a 5th grade education, but really? And then he sends another email that goes, Ben, I must have made a mistake. It looks like you just missed the cut for earning a Trump Black Cabinet card. I'm so sorry about that. Look, I know we're supposed to make any judgments, but I'm going to make one for you. You're going to get a Black Cabinet card from my collection, and you get this card that like lies and says that you're part of the cabinet. But of course, you got to pay him for that. Also, you have Lara Trump launching a new business venture. Get ready for the new Lara Trump MAGA workout collection. Apparently, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and his cabinet, I'm not sure if it's the cabinet that gets the black card or whatever, I'm not really sure the distinction anyway. They're getting advice from El Salvador. El Salvador's leader, Nayib Bukele, is urging Donald Trump to impeach activist Obama judges in order to save America. And Elon Musk agrees. El Salvador, which their entire GDP is like $40 billion compared to the United States, which is closer to $40 trillion. This is who MAGA idolizes, Bukele, because he rules with this kind of propaganda of a dictator in El Salvador. He's telling Trump to get rid of Obama judges. It should be noted that the judges who are ruling against Donald Trump and Elon Musk consistently are not just Obama judges. Most of them are actually, the majority of them or so, are Republican judges. I mean, you have federal judge Carl Nichols, for example, in Washington, D.C., he's a Trump-appointed judge. Judge John Bates is a George W. Bush-appointed judge. The judge in Washington State that stopped birthright citizenship, Reagan-appointed judge. Another D.C. judge who blocked Donald Trump's desire to send transgender women in prisons into the male prisons, the female genitals. That was a Reagan appointee who said it's cruel and unusual punishment. And look, as all this is going on, GOP lawmakers are suddenly discovering that their own voters seem to be fuming at Elon Musk, particularly for going through, their Social Security data, medical records. They're going through the IRS tax records, just like a random person's getting free reign on the government, and they're like destroying critical government programs and resources that Americans rely on. They're saying the quiet part out loud, folks. Like Donald Trump's special advisor, Alina Habba, she was making her rounds on Fox, or whatever you want to call it, and she was saying, look, we're taking money out of American pockets, so that's why they're getting upset. We're taking their money. Let's flip.
How to change the way you pizza. Step 1, grab a delicious
YouTube.
Papa Murphy's pizza. Step 2,
We're taking money out of American pockets, so that's why they're getting upset. We're taking their money. Let's flip.
because that's what they do. If we want to save money, people are going to get upset. Why are they getting upset? Because we're taking money out of their pockets.
And she's at least being accurate there. Have you seen the Republican budget? The Republican budget is providing for about a $4.5 trillion tax cut for the billionaires, an $880 billion reduction in Medicaid spending, a $350 billion reduction or so in education spending, and a $250 billion reduction in agriculture spending. So they're crushing education.
Cut it out back there.
The Education Department of Education. They're going to destroy the farmers as well, and destroy Medicaid. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever, Medicaid helps a lot of people out there, and that's what they are gutting, so they can give a $4.5 trillion tax cut to the wealthiest Americans. That's their priority. That's what they're doing. Donald Trump was asked yesterday, so, are you doing any studies about your tariffs if they're going to cause the prices to increase? Because the inflation numbers this week were horrific already based on the chaos that you, Donald Trump, have been causing. Are you doing studies? Because it seems like you're on the verge of crashing the economy. Here was his response.
Reciprocal tariffs. Would you also direct agencies to study the impact they would have on prices in the U.S.?
No, there's nothing to study. There's nothing to study. It's going to go well. The United States is going to become a very, very strong economically country. Yeah.
He said, there's nothing to study. The same way he said, we don't need to do tests, because if we test, we may find out that there were people who were sick with whatever we're testing for, right? The people who were sick with COVID. So don't do the testing. Don't do the studies. Don't do the research. Don't do the reading. Pretend like a miracle. It's all going to go away. Just obey. You don't trust billionaires with all of your private data. They're just billionaires. Everybody knows the billionaires would never do anything that's harmful to other people's interests. Just give them your data. What are you talking about? That's what they're saying. The law. There's no...
To be clear, if you trust a billionaire more than any other person, if you trust a billionaire more than the person that will look at you in the face and say, I'll take your fucking wallet. If you trust a billionaire more than you trust that person that's telling you they'll steal your wallet from you, you're stuck on stupid. The only reason you get up that high is by taking advantage and breaking rules, stepping on people along the way.
Logic here, it is absolutely insane. Never obey. Donald Trump was then asked, so are you going to be tough with India on trade? And how are you going to beat China if you're going to be doing all these things? And Donald Trump's response is, we're not looking to beat anybody. We're not looking to beat anybody. From Donald Trump, you're playing this.
If you're going to be tough with India, how are you going to beat China?
We're in very good shape to beat anybody we want, but we're not looking to beat anybody. We're looking to do a really good job. We've done a fantastic job for the American people.
Can you imagine if former President, I won't even go there because we know that if anybody other than Donald Trump said that, it would be front page everywhere. Donald Trump is asked, if prices go up because of your tariffs, who's going to be there to blame? And Trump goes, prices could go up, but they could go up, they could go down. We'll see. Play this clip.
Who do you think voters should hold responsible?
Oh, I think what's going to go up is jobs are going to go up, and prices could go up somewhat short term, but prices will also go down. And I think the farmers are going to be helped by this very much.
But you all remember what his promise was. His promise was immediately, on day one, that the prices would go down. That's what he said. Immediately, the prices would go down. Then he had his Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, a hedge fund guy that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I hadn't seen this guy talk before, but this guy is the epitome of billionaire-esque arrogance. This guy sits there and he's like, yeah, the prices may go up. They may go up. But no one, maybe you because you live in mansions and have private jets, but for Americans, what you're saying is so out of touch and despicable. This is the Treasury Secretary. Play the clip.
Well, great. Join me now. Just back from his trip to Ukraine, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Mr. Secretary, now the usual suspects are asking, why won't the tariffs, if they're raised, create inflation? And to that you said?
Well, Mark, during the great inflation of 22, 23, all we heard was that it was transitory. Prices go up, and I'm not sure they will, because a huge amount is absorbed by the currency, a big amount is absorbed by the foreign producer, but if they do, we could see a one-time slight increase, and it's be very slight,
I'm sorry. This guy's supposed to be the Treasury Secretary of the Treasury? Absorbed by the currency? This motherfucker doesn't know what he's talking about. Not even a slight clue.
to the inflation relative to everything else President Trump is doing, lowering energy costs, regulating, and common sense policies, go down overall.
Well, other countries retaliating, prices may go up. This is the Wall Street Journal's point.
Just take a look. One of these things is not like the other. Donald Trump's first month inflation is soaring. And why that caught a lot of economists off guard is because they expected it to happen maybe May or June when Trump's policies started to kick in, gradually, but Trump started right away with all of the tariff threats and everything else, and that's bumping inflation up. Look at the sectors where inflation, where the prices are rising. Those are in the areas that he's messing with most, or Elon Musk is messing with most. Look at this weird image right here, because you had Prime Minister Modi of India.
Hey, it's almost like the economists on the left knew what they were talking about. It's almost like those of us on the left side of shit knew what we were talking about. Go figure.
And you see Elon Musk sitting with Prime Minister Modi right there. You have Elon Musk's kids there. Then you have Modi's delegation. This is just some weird stuff right here. The Kremlin, Putin, Russia laughing at the United States of America for Donald Trump's total capitulation. Julia Davis, she does an incredible job monitoring all things Russia. Laughing Kremlin insiders say Trump has given Putin the green light to expand the war. I'm not going to play any more of those clips because you saw them where Donald Trump said that he thinks that Ukraine should never be in NATO. Ukraine should not go to pre-2014 borders. Trump's Secretary of Defense, former Fox News host Pete Nixon, echoed that as well. It was definitely seen in Europe as just total and utter capitulation. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's architect of Project 2025, Russ Vought, Project 2025 calls for the banning of pornography, but of course, Russ Vought was discovered to follow some OnlyFans creators as well. Meanwhile, you have the Trump-appointed federal prosecutor, Mr. Trumper, in Southern District of New York, Federal Prosecutorial Office, SDNY, right? They have a very proud tradition, SDNY, of being one of the top divisions within the Department of Justice. Trump's acting United States Attorney for SDNY quit because she was asked to do an unlawful quid pro quo to dismiss the case of Mayor Eric Adams, the criminal case against Adams, where there was a ton of evidence of his criminality and guilt. She was asked to dismiss it. She refused to dismiss it. She said, this seems like an unethical quid pro quo. You're going to dismiss the case where he committed crimes in exchange for him doing things that are favorable to you? That's horrific. And then, of course, one of the things that Eric Adams allowed, I guess, the Trump administration to do is the Trump administration then raided New York City's FEMA accounts where money was already paid to help certain shelters, $80 million, and snatched it back.